Hey guys, I hope you're all well. So today I am doing a very special video that I thought I would do and I posted about on Twitter, and it is my Disney World Q&A video. I get asked a lot of questions about Disney World on a daily basis. I get a lot of emails about it, I get a lot of tweets about it, so I thought what I'd do is just make one big video, or maybe two because this is quite a huge bit of information just about, you know, my tips and tricks for Disney World, what I do when I'm booking and there and things like that, because I know that a lot of people find this sort of thing helpful. So we'll get straight into it because I do have quite a few questions, so thank you so much if you have asked me a question, and I hope I can answer it for you in these videos. So the most common question that I get asked is staying on Disney World worth it? Now, rather than me be like, yeah it is, and moving on, I'm going to explain to you exactly why I think staying on Disney World is worth it. So when we go to Disney, or when I've been to Disney, I've stayed in 3 different kind of types of accommodation. I've stayed in villas, I've stayed in non-resort hotels, and I've stayed in Disney resort hotels. So we'll talk about villas first, the benefits and the pros and cons. Benefits of a villa: obviously if there's a lot of people, it can spread the cost, it's a lot cheaper, you can come and go as you please. It is completely kind of self-service, you know, you feed yourself, you can buy food in from the supermarkets and you can have your own meals there, and you can eat breakfast there every morning, and it can work out a lot cheaper for you. You probably get a private pool, you'll probably be on a complex where they'll do the odd 1 or 2 buses to Disney, and there might be like some more activities that you can do. Cons of staying in villas: usually they are the furthest drive out to Disney World, so you are going to have a commute to the parks every day. You're going to have to drive. There might be a bus that gets you to and from the parks, but it's going to be very, very limited in what you can do. You might have to stick to certain time frames if you don't have a car. Thirdly, in my personal opinion, I don't feel as close to the magic when I'm there, but like I said, it's going to have its pros and cons for everybody, so you should really kind of check out what you want to be doing at Disney World before you opt for a villa. So we'll talk about non-resort hotels. Very similar to villas. Obviously you'll have probably your breakfast thrown in. You can get a lot of deals now that'll throw in breakfast or dinner or half board. There's a bus system as well, which is probably going to be better than kind of the villa bus systems, but again, you are going to be sticking to some kind of schedule to do that. And it's cheaper as well. Of course it's going to be cheaper if you stay off Disney. So staying on Disney, pros and cons to staying on Disney World. Let's start with the pros. First one, obviously you are very close to everything. You are on Disney all the time. You are close to every park. Every park is no more than 15 minutes away from you. When I stayed at Port Orleans, this t-shirt here, and I stayed at Port Orleans, the furthest park for us was Animal Kingdom. That was the furthest one, so it took us about 15 minutes to get there. So you're never going to be more than 15 minutes away from something. Number 2, there are buses to the parks kind of every 15 minutes, or you know, every so often. Now they might get full from time to time, but we'll talk about that in a second. So you never have to drive. If you're not planning on leaving the Disney complex, you can get buses to the parks, you can get buses to downtown Disney, you can get riverboats to downtown Disney. Some resorts you can walk to places. I know that if you stay at Saratoga Springs, you can walk to downtown Disney. If you stay at the Contemporary or the Grand Floridian, you can get the monorail into Magic Kingdom, or you can walk because you are really that close to it. So there's lots of pros and cons with the transportation there. Secondly, obviously, if you are staying in a deluxe or a moderate resort, so let me go back a step first and say that Disney split their resorts into 4 categories. There is value resorts, there are moderate resorts, there are deluxe resorts, and there are deluxe villas. And then there's kind of a 5th category, which is Disney Vacation Club, which we'll cover that now quickly. $28,000 a year or something to join. I'm not sure whether it's a year, but anyway, basically about $28,000, and you get a lot of benefits. But I'll leave a link below for the Vacation Club if you are interested in that. We'll stick with the 4 main ones. Deluxe and deluxe villa are kind of the same thing, so we'll group those in together. Pros and cons again of each. Value resort is obviously the cheapest. It's probably going to be the busiest as well. Moderate, middle ground. You get the quick serve dining plan thrown in at the moment, depending on who you book with. And again, it's going to be kind of the 2nd busiest, depending on which one you go to. Deluxe, you get the full dining plan thrown in. are going to queue less at the parks because they seem to have more buses and they seem to have less wait times because there's less people. Obviously they're paying more money. Disney are delivering a different kind of service to them. So those are kind of is the quick overview of the three categories. I have stayed in both a value and in a moderate, and next time we go we are staying in a deluxe villa because my mother is coming with us as well, and probably my cousin. So we're going to go, yeah, splash out a bit more money, and we're going to do that. So those are the kind of three areas of Disney. Now, pros and cons, obviously, to stay in the parks. Like I said, we've talked about the transport. We've talked about the fact that if you stay in a moderate or a deluxe, you'll get the dining plan thrown in, and I'll talk about the dining plan in a bit more detail in a minute. And now we'll talk about the main perk of staying on Disney, which, well, personally what the main perk is for me, extra magic hours. If you don't know what extra magic hours are, every day Disney opens one of their parks an hour earlier for resort guests only, and one park 3 hours later as well. They do the full schedule online days in advance. I'm talking 180 days in advance. You can check which parks are going to be open, so you can plan your visit around those. Perks of extra magic hours: obviously there's not going to be as many people in the park because it's only resort guests. This kind of opens up a vast array of topics I could go into now. I'm going to explain the fast pass system to you in the next video, so I will talk about extra magic hours in the next video as well in terms of the fast pass system. But yeah, like I said, you get the extra, you get an extra hour in the park or an extra 3 hours in the park. You can cover most of the big rides off in those times. I don't think I'd go to Disney now without staying on Disney World. What I will say to you is one of the biggest cons of Disney World though, you know, in terms of pros and cons, is they don't want you to leave. They make it extremely difficult for you to get off Disney. And when I say that, I mean if you want to go shopping, if you want to go to Universal or Harry Potter Land over at Island of Adventure, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, you're going to need your own transport because the bus and taxis are ridiculously insane, so expensive. They don't offer a bus system that I know of, so you need your own car to do it. Now, most travel companies throw in the car for you as part of the package, but if you don't, I would definitely recommend trying to hire one when you get there because, like I said, it's so difficult. It's really nice to be able to take another perk I should talk to you about if you do stay on Disney and you're not going to have a car, you can take the Magical Express from the airport to your resort, which is a really nice bus to take, really cute. Play lots of Disney kind of stuff on the bus, and it's quite an exciting experience. But that is the only real perk of not having a car. So I would always recommend to have a car. The next question that I get asked quite a lot is, what's the youngest you take a child to Disney? Now, obviously I haven't been with my own children because I don't have any. I have been though with my cousins when they were quite young. For me personally, I've seen lots of different variations of this question being answered. I would say it's not necessarily about age, it's about height. Most of the big rides at Disney are either 120 or 140 centimetres before you can ride them. So when we went a few years ago with my cousins, one was 5 and one was 7, and the 7-year-old was tall enough to go on everything, but the 5-year-old wasn't. And yes, she loved meeting the princesses, she loved kind of meeting Mickey and doing all the baby rides and all the, you know, children ride, but she was devastated when me and my cousins and my uncle and my aunt left her to go on the big rides because she really wanted to go on them. So I think there is a very special feeling when you take a younger child and they get to, I don't think anything will ever beat the look on a child's face when they meet Mickey Mouse. Like, I don't think you can beat the look on my face most. I'm like, oh, Mickey, oh my god. But you'll never forget that moment. However, I was 7 when I first went to Disney World, and I think my parents still got that moment, and I was still allowed to go on all the rides because I was tall enough. I still had an autograph book the first year I went. I still met all the characters. I still got really excited, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to meet Mickey Mouse and I'm going to meet Cinderella and all that sort of things. And we found that my older cousin was like that as well. When we took him and he was 7, he was still really excited to meet like Buzz and Woody, and he was really excited to meet Mickey and Goofy and Pluto and all that sort of thing. So I think that 7 is quite a good age, but again, I would kind of just base it on height, because the last thing I would want to do is take my child and them not to be able to go on the rides, mainly because I'd be upset that one of us would have to stay off with them. But I think that for them it's quite upsetting that they don't get to experience it. But obviously it's a very personal choice. It kind of depends on whether you have a child that likes rides, or you have a member of the family that's going to stay off the rides and can sit with them, and things like that. One thing I will mention as well is parent swap. There are a few rides at Disney and Universal that do parent swap, so if there are only the two of you with one child that is not tall enough to go on a ride or doesn't want to, one of the parents can queue in the ride, and then once they've been on the ride they can go and swap with the other parent, and the other parent can go straight to the front, so they don't have to queue again. So you can all queue together and then you can kind of swap, so that's a good system, I think. Best time to go to Disney World. Very difficult to answer this question because it depends what you're looking to go for. If you're looking for a quiet time, obviously when the UK and American schools are in, those are always going to be the quietest times. I have been in May, Whitsun week, half term, where the first week, you know, Whitsun week was very busy, but the week after was dead. I've been in the middle of June twice. First time I went really quiet. Second time extremely busy because the American schools had broken up a week early. I've been in July. Not that bad to be honest, but again levels are kind of starting to rise. I've been in August, which is good, but you do have to watch out for hurricane season because Florida is prone to hurricanes. Then I've been in September after the schools have gone back. Yes, nice and quiet, recommended time to go for me if you don't have children. I have also been at Christmas where they've done all the Christmas stuff. I've actually flew out to Disney on Christmas Day. I flew out on Boxing Day. I have spent New Year's there. I've spent the first 2 weeks of January there. So for the quietest time, I would recommend obviously when the schools are in, or obscure times of the year. So avoiding spring break, but maybe going around, and Easter, but maybe going around March or April. That bit of September going into October before half term. And if you wait to the end of September and the start of October, you will get all the Mickey's Halloween decorations. Obviously at Christmas you get all the Christmas stuff. So yeah, and there's obviously lots of different festivals that Disney do. They do a marathon, they do the food and wine festival at Epcot. So it all depends what you're looking to get out of the trip. If you're looking for the quietest time to go, just have a look at when the schools are kind of planning their kind of holidays for that year, because if you can go outside of peak time, then I would definitely recommend it. And I think the next time we go in the end of September going into October. The next question is, are there any ways to save money on Disney? And yes, there is. I'll have mentioned it briefly, but I will go into a bit more detail about it now. It is the dining plan. Now, if you're going to stay on Disney, I thoroughly recommend you get this. We went this year, we had the quick serve dining plan, because there's 3 different options. We had the quick serve dining plan, and we wish we'd upgraded to the main one because we could have saved ourselves an absolute fortune. Okay, so quick serve dining plan. 2 quick serve meals a day, plus a snack a day, and a refillable mug for the entire stay while you are on your hotel resort. So what can you use the quick serve meals for? These are things like, you know, the burger and chips, there's the chicken strippers, but then also there is quite a few different kind of themed quick serves around Disney. You know, especially around Epcot, you can get Mexican food on it, you can get Chinese food, British food. The best thing about the dining plan is that all the meals roll over, so you don't just have 2 a day, 2 meals a day and then 1 snack a day. About 30 for the entire trip, or whatever the number is. I'm not quite sure, but I'll leave the link below for you, and you can just use them as and when you need to. And at the end of your holiday, you can actually, if you've got any snacks left, just buy a load of snacks and then take them home with you, and that is so much fun to do because you can get so many good things. The dining plan, so the main dining plan, is 1 table service meal a day, 1 quick serve and a snack. Now, proper table dining plan is, you know, a sit down meal with a waiter, starter and a main and a dessert maybe, and drinks, but obviously no alcohol. You have to pay for all your alcohol on Disney, it's not included in the plan. I'm not sure what the deluxe is. I think it's pretty much every meal covered, because you might be thinking, hang on, that's only 2 meals that you've covered there, you know, either 2 quick serves or 1 sit down and 1 sit down and 1 quick serve. So that's only 2 meals a day. I eat 3. So what I will say to you is this: if you are leaving Disney to go to Universal, you're obviously going to get credits that roll over. So what we found was by the end of our holiday we still had a few left because we'd spent some time off Disney where we'd had to buy our own meals because obviously they're not included, which meant that we just never had to pay for anything on Disney in a quick serve element. When you go sit down, you obviously get all of the sit down meals as well, which is freaking incredible, and in my next video I will give you some restaurant recommendations, so I'll leave that one there for now. But I would definitely recommend the quick serve. If you're booking in the UK, Virgin, I know, I think Thompson as well, and Disney directly, they offer you the quick serve if you stay in a moderate resort and the dining plan if you stay in a deluxe resort. So you can save money there, because to kind of put this in some context for you, we were working out that for the two of us, for a meal a day, for a quick serve meal, we were spending $33 for the two of us. Now if you work that 3 times a day, that's $100 a day. Over 14 days, that's $1,400. That's a lot of cash. So with the dining plan, you can save that money. So you might have spent £400 getting the dining plan, but actually you've spent less money because you're getting the meals there as well. So it's a very complicated system. I recommend anybody read into it. I'm trying to give you a really good overview that's easy to understand. But the dining plan is going to save you money as long as, you know, you're using it most effectively. The last question that I'm going to answer in this video is, how do I survive the long flight? And Disney World's not really that long a flight. It is 9 hours, and you know, most providers you go with, they will play lots of films that you can do, they'll feed you, they'll water you, you know, they look after you. And I think that as long as you can keep yourself busy, or you can have a nap, then it's not that bad a flight. Just remember to get up and walk around a bit, because nobody wants deep vein thrombosis and it's quite a long flight. Just keep wriggling your toes as well. I obviously do my skincare routine on the flight too, because I'm obsessive when it comes to, you know, taking makeup off and hydrating my skin throughout a flight. And I have a video on what I do on flights, which I'll leave a link for below as well. Also, while we're talking about kind of airlines and stuff, I might as well give you some of my kind of knowledge of when I book Disney as well, because I do a lot of hunting around before I book. I search lots of different things and we always get the cheapest price. Now let me give you some quick hints and tips when it comes to looking for Disney holidays. Firstly, don't just go with the main providers, Virgin, BA, Thompson's, because you might be able to build it cheaper through Expedia. Secondly, if you do really want to go with, you know, Virgin Holidays or Thompson, look at what their deals are. Times during the year where if you book with Virgin, you'll get the free dining plan and you'll also get $200 of Disney spending money while you're there. There'll be times where you get $100 of Disney spending money while you're there. Upgraded cars that you can get upgraded to the lounge at the Gatwick Airport, you know, the first class lounge. One of the things I will say about Virgin though, because we always fly with Virgin, we seem to be able to get them down to the cheapest. If you flew with Virgin X amount of times in X amount of years, you'll be eligible for their frequent Virgin card, which means that you get 10% off. Booking online, you can do that as well, you get your 10%, but you can actually go into store and say, well, I found this deal on Virgin Holidays online, and they'll match it for you in store and you'll get that more one-to-one personal service with them. However, what we are doing at the moment is we have joined the flying club with Virgin, and I think you can do this with BA as well, but it's obviously going to be slightly different. All our Tesco club card points get converted into Virgin flying miles. I think it's 1 club card point is 2 miles. 12,000 flying miles becomes £50 of holiday vouchers, so we have enough at the moment for £150 off our next holiday, so that's always going to be a great saving to make. You can also use those flying club miles if you get enough to upgrade, so you can go from economy to premium economy or first class. It's up to you how you spend them, but if you are like me and you lose your Tesco vouchers, it might be worth converting them into something a bit more worthwhile. Right, I feel like I've talked for quite a long time with this video, so I'm going to do a second video about the parks themselves. So I hope I've answered any questions in terms of booking holidays or where to stay when you're on holiday at Disney. So if you have any more questions regarding those sort of things, please do leave them below and I'll try my best to answer them. So I'll see you in the next video, which will be a week today. Bye!